Welcome everyone to another episode of the Shadowing series. This time, talking about how I got my Headhunter in Crucible League 3.21. Quick TLDR, it didn't involve Crucible, making money through Crucible, that's for sure. It almost exclusively involved mapping. No surprise there, but I'm especially excited to bring this video to you because, well, for one thing, it featured a build I'm rather proud of making and pulling it off quite well, and I'd like to showcase what it's capable of doing without a Headhunter, mind you. This is basically the final stage of the build before I equip the Headhunter, so you're going to get to see what a Poison Tornado Shot build can do, and in so saying that, I'm happy to bring to you a strategy I've not yet advertised on YouTube. I have shown on Twitch. It's a peculiar strategy. It's not exactly something I've seen any other person do exactly. It's just something I kind of put together, and I wanted to try Delirium, focusing more on Delirium than usual, which is harder. No, not Delirium Mirrors, not 20%, not 40%, not even 60%, but at this point 80% Delirious on a Tornado Shot budget of around 60 or 70 divines. You can see the Headhunter here is ready to go, which I will be putting on after this, but we're featuring Dark Scorn here. I'm just going to kind of glaze through the gear because this video is very fast-paced. I'm going to be talking, giving you commentary on the farming strategy the entire time. This is not a 100 maps farming strategy. I think I will come out with one of those featuring this kind of strategy at some point. But a lot of the gear here is basically done. There are some things I'm going to replace, obviously, once you start talking mirror tier stuff. I don't know exactly how far I'm going to push this build, but the only major outlier here that would drag the value of this build up beyond 60 or 70 divines is the quiver. I got very lucky with this quiver. I managed to craft it for the cost of like 4 divines. I do not recommend trying to craft this exact quiver. It's going to cost more like 10 to 20 divines. I'm not going to get into how I crafted it for this video, but at any rate, I was perfectly willing to settle for one that looked like this, that perhaps didn't even have +1 additional arrow for, like, you know, less than a divine is probably what was going to happen. But, you know, pulled a rabbit out of the hat on this one and got lucky. Truth be told, I haven't been all that lucky with drops, and it's taken me a little longer than usual to get the Headhunter, but that's okay. I made it an executive decision to push the build upward because I wanted to kind of showcase for you today, of all days, what this build can do if you push it a little bit, but don't, you know, go off the deep end relying on the borrowed player power of, you know, aura bots, Headhunter, Mage Blood, Mirror Tier Bow, those kind of things. Because when you're talking about gear like that, yeah, you can make any build work, basically. So I do think you're going to be impressed with what you see once we get into the farming session. The farming session today, Cemetery down the line, Atlas fully unlocked. As I mentioned, it's 80% Delirious. Now, I did start with 60% Delirious, but I have pushed the PoE damage all the way up to about 30 million. Relative to the build guide's starting point of around 10 million DPS. So that's what going from an investment around 10 to 15 divines all the way up to about 60, 70 divines might give you. It's about 3 times more damage, essentially. And you can see here this is focused on Breach. It is focused on Harbinger, Delirium, and Beyond, which is a little peculiar, and Eater of Worlds, and then going for some pack size with Fortune Favors the Brave, Shaping of the Valleys, and trying to focus on magic finding a little bit. Not all of the increased effect of modifiers, non-unique maps. Again, this is a kind of a peculiar strategy where the maps were very specifically rolled with 3 modifiers, starting off with alt spam, which is something I've never done before. I deliberately rolled these maps very easily because last league I became familiar with a strategy that involved 80 or 100% Delirious, where just running maps white or even magic. But I really like putting magic find gear on, and to that note, I challenge you to find a build, especially a Tornado Shot build, that can clear 80% Delirious, breaches especially, with the kind of just breeze through them without too much trouble at all, on a build that does not have, again, an Aura Bot, Headhunter, Mage Blood, Mirror Tier gear, nothing like that. It's going to take me about 1 hour to run 7 maps. You know, this is a far cry from strongbox speed juicing farming. This is actual, like, legit spending a little bit of time in the maps, juicing up the map, pulling a lot of currency out of each and every map, so long as you successfully clear it. This is a somewhat rippy strategy. You'll see that throughout this league, I have killed 1.2 million monsters. Deaths is going to be kind of high, 458. And a little over 5 days playtime. Going all gilded Scarabs here, and here's the Sextant with elevated breach. The others don't matter, but I am focused on Chayula. Breach of all things, which should be interesting to you since breach is really awful mechanic. You've probably been told through Reddit or what have you. Let me take you down right as we get started to the desktop. We're going to take a snapshot here. And you can see there's about 7.19 divines. Well, that's convenient because it basically means I'm investing about 1 divine into each map. And today is the first day that has crested over 1 divine per map. It's been about 0.8 or 0.9 divines per map for this kind of strategy until today. For some reason, a couple of the sextants really ramped up in cost. Just today as I'm farming. That's okay if I'm making a lot of currency doing this. And, well, but I will at least point out the fact that this strategy is a little bit more niche than, say, strongbox farming, which has way more longevity, will never be bad throughout the entire time of the league. Almost doesn't even matter how expensive the enraged strongbox sextant gets. That strategy still good. Trying something out a little different, something a little new. And you know, I did 1,000 Crimson Temple maps in enraged strongbox farming last league. Wanted to get out of Crimson Temple, away from that strategy for a little while if I could, and this was my answer to that, which worked out really nicely because I was able to kind of push the limit of what Poison Tornado Shot could do. I've run Tornado Shot for 5 leagues straight now. I've done cold conversion, element conversion, pure element. I've done original sin element to chaos conversion. Done all a wide variety of different things, and I can honestly say I do think this is the strongest iteration of Tornado Shot I've ever played prior to getting a Headhunter with a budget of around 50, 70, 80 divines. And that budget range can often be kind of an awkward area for Tornado Shot before you get the Headhunter, which really enables you. And again, I'm talking about magic finding builds, not just straight up builds. Of course, you can get a strong build if you're not magic finding, but we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pieces of gear, essentially, that are devoted, counting flasks, they're devoted entirely to magic finding that could be substituted out for more power if you wanted to see. The PoE will be linked in below. The Atlas will also be linked below. The filter will be linked below. There'll be a lot of things linked in the description. So that is where we're starting. And I am going to pull this down with a whole bunch of people following. Thanks for following, guys. We're going to go into the game now and get started. I'm going to talk about a variety of different things. I'm going to talk about a different theme on each map. First map, I'll just kind of run down with the strategy, what's going on in my mind as I'm just farming things, like specific move-to-move things I'm doing. The second one, we'll talk about kind of altars, focus on the altars, then we'll do Beyond, then Delirium, then Breach, then Harbinger. I think the last map, I'll just kind of talk about magic finding more generally, and we'll close out the video that way, see how much currency we made. I'll hopefully remember to kind of parse it out, see how much currency I'm making through the skittering orb, Deli orbs, as well as the breach rewards, which even just looking at just splinters, breach splinters, I think you'll see it make actually quite a bit of currency doing this. Okay, I think we're ready. This is all Skittering Orb. Now, you can do Diviners. I have been running Diviners sometimes, but Skittering Orb is a far more reliable currency. If I'm running Skittering especially, I feel like I can't not make pretty good currency doing this strat. Again, Fortune favors the brave because there is no really synergetic Keurig nodes, but it's okay. You know, I can get increased pack size and all that through here, which was really helpful because I'm rolling the maps rather easy, which is a big part of the strategy. It helps me overcome some of the challenges of doing 80% Deli. You'll see that damage is not an issue. Survivability is a bigger issue than damage, even for 80% Deli. All right, here we go. So I start off, now normally on Cemetery, I love Cemetery, I always love farming Brother's Stash. We got a new div card called Brother's Gift. We'll talk more about that, I guess, on Magic Finding Session. But I'm popping off on Val Haste here to initiate Soul Eater, which is a big part of the build, with Zerfi's build. You see the breaches everywhere. I'm not hitting the breaches, I'm not focused too much, I'm just trying to clear stuff. Once I see a Deli boss, I'm going to murder him right here. If my Soul Eater count is favorable, which it is at over 200 Soul Eater stacks, absolutely shred Deli bosses, and it's still going to hold on to that one as well. So I managed to actually kill both Deli bosses already, something that I don't think I could have done in most Tornado Shot builds. Again, on this budget, I don't think I could have taken out Deli bosses that quickly and efficiently. with any other tornado shot build that I've had. So it's something really cool that plays on the strengths of this build, which is the big strength of this build is the deterministic Soul Eater buff that you can count on. Now, Soul Eater doesn't add any defense to my build, which is why I'm rolling the maps kind of easy, but Soul Eater is absolutely enabling me to go from, you know, say a Deli mirror, which is around, you know, usually only goes up to around 40% Deli, up to maybe 60% or more. Now, the Beyond boss spawned over there, but I can't kill him yet because it's not good timing on the Soul Eater. I've basically fully cleared the map. As you can imagine, I'm trying to open up the altars. Usually I would boss rush on this map, but I'm not doing that because I need to save it for the Delirium rewards, as one of the sextants is more favorable if you save the boss killing at the end. Again, we'll talk more about that on the Delirium section. But here we go. Breach is opening. Breaches are slowed down a little bit. Breaches are super premium for the strategy. It's actually important that I try to hit the hands, especially this one right here that can spawn the boss, drops a lot of splinters. Each breach is basically worth about 20 chaos. So breach stones are still about 80 or 75 to 80 chaos a piece, and the Chayula breach sextant is not all that expensive still. Surprisingly, this strategy has had a bit more staying power than I expected. I thought it was going to be exceptionally niche only for the first few days of the league, but as you guys probably know, the reports are in that breach farming sucks, that it doesn't make any currency, and as a result of that narrative, I've been able to stay on this strategy and make a whole bunch of currency under the radar, essentially. I mean, on Twitch I've been advertising this strat, but I don't know, I guess there aren't that many people who are doing it. Here we go. Spawn 2 bosses. Soul Eater count is low, but fortunately I have enough power I can manage to take them out. One other thing I really like about Chayula breach farming is that it's the easiest breach to do for this character. Because I'm using Dark Scorn, I have to have my Chaos Res capped, and of course the game is not really balanced with the assumption that your Chaos Res is capped, which means if you have capped all res, essentially Chayula is going to be the easiest breach. It's going to do the least amount of damage to you because the monster's damage is chaos, and that translates to me having a lot more survivability than, say, if I was trying to clear out Zoth or Ash breaches especially. I just get roasted by those. So it really works out in my favor, especially the fact that, you know, you're going Poison Tornado Shot, getting a Dark Scorn, because I go Dark Scorn, I need to cap my Chaos Res for the synergies there with the defense. Physical taken is Chaos. You can look up Dark Scorn if you're not aware of its mod. It has a very interesting defensive mod that is a double-edged sword depending on how much Chaos Res you have, which is adding to some of the defense. A lot more defense is coming in the form of Darasol's Defiance, which is also giving me some synergies around Immortal Call, which is on a cast when damage taken link with a low level. Works out really nice. And that is a kind of tech that I've used a lot. Also some added defense just in Cena's Chant with Temp Chains, which synergizes great offensively and defensively, slows down the monsters, gives a whole bunch of added poison damage effectively, and explodes monsters and blinds them, which, you know, is giving me, you know, canceling out any on-death effects, blinding them, making them even less likely to hit me, doubling down on the evasion with Grace, and then chances of getting hit is less, which works out well with Darasol's Defiance, where I don't want to get hit often because I lose all my endurance charges when I get hit often. You know, a lot of different things bringing this build online, and I do admit, not the easiest build to pull off, but if you get all the working parts together, then you can see it's about as easy as this here. So, I mean, I've already done most of the map. I know both of the bosses are dead. I still have to kill the map boss, but you can see I'm already at 15 Deli rewards, and that's a lot of Scarabs. And now we enter kind of phase 2 of the map, where it's actually more dangerous than phase 1 of the map. Phase 1 of the map is clearing the map. Phase 2 of the map is trying not to die as I go around and looting things from a few straggler mobs here that are actually a lot more dangerous when they're alone than they are when they're grouped up. And the reason that is because, like every build that I make, a lot of the defensive capacity is reliant on momentum. Having a high amount of momentum, having a high amount of recovery. This build has the most recovery of any build I've ever had, with the new Chaos Mastery, 1% life gain back per withered stack per enemy killed. While I'm engaging with a breach, I'm virtually unkillable just on account of how much recovery I have in that situation. As also 4% life gain per flask used is also huge. Also got 1% life leech Actually more than that, because I am getting the physical leech from Darius, so I got about 2.5% life leech actually. And then I have 4 life on hit. And 2% life regen from one of the passive notables. I entirely skip mechanics that are not a part of my strategy. Whether it's Harvest, Expedition I will go ahead and throw down because, you know, it does have some really nice League specific rewards, and it's not too hard to put those explosives up. But here we go, kind of just looting the map. Already got the top part done. You see I got a lot of Chayula Splinters. Yes, I'm even picking up 1 Splinter at a time because every Splinter is worth almost a Chaos Orb. And again, I'm going to be pulling something like 60, 80 to 100 Splinters out of every map if I succeed at clearing the map. Sometimes I do die on breaches, which is a big reason why it's important to roll the maps easy. So you'll notice this map doesn't have a whole lot of pack size, right? Not especially impressive. You know, I'm known for running 8-mod corrupted maps, and normally I would with a strong box and rage strategy. It's actually really important to run as much pack size as you can on certain strategies. This strategy, interestingly, is not all that important to run pack size. It's still kind of important because I am magic finding for me to run increased quantity and rarity, but I'm kind of relying on altars or the off chance that I get altars for that to come through. I did get an enhanced gem, so that's kind of interesting. So we're going to dump these things here in a dump tab, and we'll count this all later. Again, I will try to remember to not only look at the total currency per map game, but the total currency per time, as well as the cost differentials of like the Chayula Splinter farming versus and the Delirium orb farming, and try to see what kind of currency I came out ahead just on account of those mechanics. It does appear that the skittering orb farming session is starting to wear itself a little thin here. A lot of people started doing it as people begin to, you know, getting into the second week of the league. People begin to start developing characters that are strong enough, they feel comfortable enough to do really high Delirium farming. And so for those who are able to do it even earlier, they kind of get ahead of the curve, if you will. Which is fair, I guess. One really annoying thing about this strategy is that I did have to port to town just to deposit loot. I mean, it's nice to be able to get so much loot that you can't even carry it all back, but at the same time, it's kind of annoying because I don't really want to have to do that. But hey, you know, not every strategy is perfect, and sometimes, you know, just work different strategies. And I'm not going to do this strategy the entire league for sure, but again, I probably will make a video, a separate 100 maps farming video on a strategy like this that involves breach and Deli farming. But I think I'll wear a Headhunter for that one, just because I can. I'm sure you won't blame me for that. Alright, so here we go, map number 2. Hopefully you kind of understood what I was talking about, what I was going through on a map-by-map basis. This time I want to talk a little bit, I'll talk a little bit more about that, but I'm going to talk more specifically about altars. So in this case, again, Beyond is on the map. We'll talk about Beyond next time, but altars, I like rushing the boss so that I get the premium altars, just minion altars, just player altars, especially when magic finding. However, with Delirium, I get 1 extra round of rewards when I kill the boss. And that only works in my favor if I wait to the end, because it has more impact then. They're both Deli bosses spawning at the same time. They basically die before they're able to do anything to me whatsoever. A little bit of cat and mouse dodging around and basically no threat. I can actually take a hit from those Deli bosses if I have no damage mods on the map, which I do not. Presently. But altars are a little tricky because a lot of the player altars are really good and I really want to take them, but you know, we got Fizz gained his extra lightning, we got Fizz gained his extra cold, we got reduced percent reduced defenses per frenzy charge, we got percent physical damage reduction or percent physical damage taken reduction, and those 4 mods in particular are just kind of big no-nos. I can't really take those. There are certain ones I will take, like projectiles fire in all directions is alright. Not that big of a deal for a high DPS tornado shot build. Like, a little bit annoying, but not that bad. Let's see what this one says here. Alright, it says, monsters chant non-damaging ailments reflected back to me. That's okay, because I am immune to elemental ailments on account of purity of elements. And the sapped thing will just make me deal a little less damage. Again, damage is not the problem here. The bigger problem is defense. So I don't mind dealing a little bit less damage. So I was kind of lucky there. That player altar gave me quant rarity, and it did not give me a downside that really affects what I'm doing. You probably don't see any major difference before and after there on that. Breaches are really interesting now. It's kind of impossible to fully clear. Like, you cannot 100% efficiently clear any breach. Like, even as a tornado shot character, which I think is the absolute best. Yeah, I guess I'll save the breach conversation for later a little bit. Only one altar spawned so far, I guess. Minion altars, of course. I could get the Divine Orb altar. I'm waiting for that one. It's still this league. I've seen the Exalt altar twice. Here we go. 59% additional physical damage reduction. Or minus percent. I can't take that. I can't take that. If I take that, I dramatically increase the chance of dying. Basically, my chance, I become essentially like 3 times squishier if I take that. So I've learned to simply not do it. As much as I would like to have the increased quant and rarity right now, I would much prefer not to brick a single breach. If I brick a breach, again, every breach I brick is basically 20 chaos down the drain. At least 20 chaos down the drain. Possibly more, depending on, if bosses would have spawned, or, the off chance of a specialized drop. One more rare here. Clasped hand. Okay, I guess that'll do it there. Still got at least one more breach. I think every map must spawn at least 3 breaches on account of 1 Scarab and an elevated breach plus 2 breach sextant. Most maps will spawn 4 or more. There's the double boss spawn. Wait, can we make... Oh, I was going to see if I could make 6 bosses spawn at once. Would have... Could have potentially happened. Alright, another pretty good breach clear there. Trying to get the rares down, if possible. Usually the only thing I leave alive in here is like some of the rare monsters. Okay, somebody in chat asked how many altars did I, or how many divines did I farm with the altar strat? I basically just did a one and done there with my strategy, which I think was very useful for the community. Got to see pure no investment altar farming, Exarch altar farming. This is a really awkward situation. If I try to loot this stuff right now, I'm probably going to die. Typically never want to be in a situation where you're trying to fight a Harbinger in that kind of area right here. Anyway, okay. I made it out alive. That's good. And managed to keep Rampage in for the boss room. That's nice. I forgot to mention that I'm using Defiance Banner whenever, typically trying to drop it whenever I come across a hard enemy, which would be either Delirium bosses, the Beyond boss, and that is because if you look up Defiance Banner, you'll see that it taunts all of the enemies, and it makes them deal less damage to me. And with increased aura effect, it's actually quite potent. And it can very much be the difference between me getting one shot or not. And that was unfortunate because a whole bunch of Delirium monsters, or rather Beyond monsters, were still alive outside the gate, and I kind of forgot about that. Usually the Beyond boss is spawned at this point, and I'm no longer dealing with any Beyond, but in the event that I get lucky, get a huge amount of value out of Beyond, which I did on this map, that just means I'm a lot more likely to die on this phase of picking up the loot. That's okay. I don't really mind if I, die while I'm trying to loot, so long as I get all the loot out. I just really don't want to die while trying to do a breach. That is the critical time not to fail or have a death. There's a whole bunch of Harbinger and Beyond monsters together here. Can be a pretty potent mix. There aren't that many things more dangerous than like a Harbinger, Beyond, and Delirium all on top of one another. Can be pretty rough. Swap tech detected. No, that was just me. I'm not actually swapping for Invictus. I will later swap Invictus for Rampage that way, but I don't have to right now because I'm using Bisco's Leash. So I actually get Rampage without doing any kind of quirky swaps. I did go ahead and equip the Invictus though because I'm lazy and I just wanted to get it out of the way ahead of time. Although it means I have to presently unequip my amulet to do. I know there's a way to swap the bars, the action bars around, but I again, just being a little lazy. Wow, just getting nothing but deception contracts here. That's kind of weird. Okay. Again, I have to deposit loot in advance. Really? An 84 plus 10 passive minion cluster. Somehow this is registering at like 20 or 30 chaos. Okay. That's kind of weird. I don't really believe that, but you know, the 84 plus large minion clusters are some of the most valuable clusters this league. Apparently, minions are popular. Minion clusters especially. I don't remember that being the case in previous leagues. Yeah, 8412 is I have found an 8412 this league, and I did sell it for like 4 divines. I remember that. It was a nice find. So you see we got 2 altars and 1 I didn't even click. Don't feel too bad about that. Okay, trying to get that. A whole lot of scarabs. I think I looted everything down here at the bottom. I'm gonna head back up to the top, and there should be only this stuff left. I will go ahead and hit that. No point not to now that the boss is dead. Doesn't mean anything anymore. Stack of 10 Chayula splinters. Probably came from a clasped hand, I would imagine. Okay, that should do that. Hopefully I got everything out. I mean, sometimes I don't double check everything. But the pace is pretty good. It did have 1 death, but it didn't really cost me anything. And you can see I already have a full breachstone and... Can't see the splinter. Oh, 38 splinters. Okay. A little less than I expected. I haven't even spawned 4 breaches yet, I think, is why that's a little low. Kind of surprising. I can spawn up to like 13 breaches if I get really lucky and proc that Atlas notable. Spawns 10 extra breaches. That'll be amazing if that happens. Okay, this is map number 3. I'm going to talk about Beyond on this map. So it's really one of the coolest things about this strategy is the decision put Beyond it. This came as a result of me testing and trialing out like 40 and 60% Deli and just getting kind of railed in the beginning because I was running any map mods, and then I kind of realized, you know what, I should just like run these really easy. What happens if I try to run high Deli with low or with very easy map mods? Well, that worked out super well because the breaches are still really thick, and then because they've been kind of changed or reprogrammed, and then it doesn't make much difference for the Delirium farming. Seem to get a whole bunch of Deli rewards either way. It matters a lot more about the mechanics you put on the map than how thick the maps are. Kind of forgot to use Soul Eater there. Definitely can't kill that Deli boss yet. I'm not really interested in any of that. I think I'll take this moment to clear out this Beyond boss. I know I got a good Soul Eater thing going on there. In fact, I can probably carry it over and... Nope, can't carry it over. Alright, Soul Eater just dropped off there. Reset. So, again, I'm not going to engage with the Delirium boss. I can kill a Delirium boss without Soul Eater, but it's much more tedious and a little bit of a waste of time to do that. So again, I'm dropping Defiance Banner, especially on Kosa, so he can be really challenging. He hit me a couple times there. Didn't actually come all that close to killing me. And, you know, I might have died there if I had not dropped that Defiance Banner on him. So that's one reason I really happy to get Defiance banner back into the build. Beyond boss already spawned, so there's no more Beyond spawning here, but it occurred to me that if I was going to roll these maps super easy, especially like just alt spamming, I might as well put Beyond on the map. I can get Beyond onto the Atlas pretty easily through the warp nodes or whatever. And, you know, that worked out especially well because Beyond isn't too bad if the map mods are super easy, and I get a whole bunch of extra value out of it. For the longest time, the Tainted Fusings have been like 40 to 50 chaos a piece, because they're now a very popular way to 6-link people's items, for good reason. Tainted Chromes are also 4 or 5 chaos a piece. Most of the other Tainted Currency is not worth all that much yet, but some of it might go up in value. Thinking Tainted Chaos and Tainted Mythic Orbs especially. Haven't seen a Divine Teardrop in ages, but I don't know if that one's popular anymore. We got an Abyss down here. Go ahead and kind of do this just because it's here. It may mean the difference between like 15 and 16 rewards. Might as well do it. I did try Abyss on a side note. I tried Abyss for a while. It's always the problem. It just takes too long, and it's okay for the magic finding side of things, but it's absolutely abysmal as far as league specific rewards. Basically non-existent. And yeah, I think I'll just let that die out actually. Not interested in it anymore. How far are you into the Headhunter? I was hoping to win the race against you. Oh, I already got it, buddy. To the questioning chat. This is the how I got my Headhunter video basically you're watching here. Alright. Chayula rares. Try to get them where I can. I really want to hit those clasped hand. There you go, the boss spawned. Good timing with Soul Eater, drop the Defiance banner. Another good timing with Soul Eater. I think I'll go ahead and kill Omniphobia here, and he's gone. Alright. Go ahead and up a second Breach. Really, actually, surprisingly enjoying Breach a lot more than I expected I would. I really like the change to it. It feels good to do like Chayula breaches and then have a slower breach, but still a really juicy breach. Actually, really fun. And to, of course, have a character that can do it because... I mean, as good as Lightning Arrow is, for example, I don't think Lightning Arrow could probably clear breaches nearly this efficiently, at least not without the Headhunter budget. And that is one... This is an example of a mechanic where Tornado Shot really shines over Lightning Arrow, for example. But, of course, Lightning Arrow is a fantastic build this league, especially on a budget, especially. So I'm not knocking it, I'm just... you know, some people might wonder, how does Lightning Arrow compare with Tornado Shot? Better in some ways, but when it comes to farming breaches extremely efficiently, where it matters, when you're doing Chayula breach farming, it's not going to be nearly as good. Guess there's not a whole lot left to talk about Beyond-wise. It's all gone here. You might notice that when I clear the maps, I start off by trying to clear everything else. You can kind of manipulate the timing of the boss, Beyond boss spawning, by deliberately clearing the monsters that spawn on the native to the map and the altars that spawn. So I actually have 2 incentives to clear the map, sort of like quick and go. And that's to spawn altars and also to spawn Beyond minions without killing the Beyond minions. Because when you kill Beyond minions, a certain minion you kill, depending on the program, is that certain minions that you kill, once they die, it will spawn the Beyond boss, and chance of this happening is kind of increased the longer you kill monsters and spawn Beyond. That's why it's so rare to do like an entire map like this and not spawn the Beyond boss at all. It's really hard to do that. But that actually coincides nicely in the case of rolling maps with low pack size. I'm still getting a lot of value out of Beyond because it's not like I'm not spawning the Beyond boss, you know? So the loss of pack size by easier map mods is not actually hindering the amount of value I get out of Beyond, where you might think it would otherwise. Because normally, you know, you want as much pack size as possible for Beyond, right? But Beyond, you know, is the stigma behind it where, you know, well, the boss just spawns instantly. Well, the cool and quirky thing about that is, if the boss is just going to spawn instantly on an ultra-high juice map, well then just juice the map up a little less and spawn the boss anyway at some point, and you'll get the same amount of value out of Beyond. It's kind of an interesting concept, actually, when I think about it. And again, I like it paired with the fact that you can, to some extent, manipulate or delay the Beyond boss's spawn timer by clearing the map in a very, particular way, whereby you're kind of clearing the monsters on the open map, but then immediately jumping ship and not continuing to clear monsters where beyond monsters are spawning. I can, if I focus pretty hard on it, I can, most of the time, I can make an entire map spawn beyond minions everywhere before the boss spawns, because I'm spawning the minions, but I'm not killing them, if that makes sense. I consider that pretty high level gameplay, though. I understand a lot of people aren't going to want to think about it that hard, and you don't really have to. I mean, it's not like you have to put that much focus on it, but I like raising the bar when I can. If I find a way to raise the bar and it's and there's a payoff involved of that, I might do it. That's a case where I do it. No Arakali. Okay, what is this? A 6-link? An actual 6-link? I think this is from a... Yeah, I'm pretty sure this is from an incubator I had before. So if I'm not mistaken, I think I might have had 4 breaches that time. Questioning chat about 1,000 Crimson Temple maps, Tormented Spirit Field. It was the least impactful part of it. Not mandatory at all. Felt kind of nice. On super rare occasion, I had like 3 screens worth of Scarabs drop from a Scarab Goblin conversion that no doubt was... I mean, in some cases, I actually saw that it was a possessed rare, and therefore it dropped like an obscene amount of Scarabs. And that was nice, but I mean, that happened like 3 times in 1,000 maps, so... Probably got some other decent loot that I wasn't really aware of, though. So I still have the boss to do. I can't forget to do the boss. I kind of know that because I see the rewards. I usually have 16 rewards at the end of the map, and I get that full bonus round after that. Oh, left a King Harbinger on the map. A little bit dangerous there. I have no momentum. Yeah, if you guys have any questions to ask, I may or may not be looking at it. It kind of depends on what I'm doing at the moment. Gilded Divination Scarab, premium value. I'll see a few of those. It's, of course, the most expensive Gilded Scarab. What is this? Another Scarab that might be worth something. I think we're basically done here. Just got to do the boss. I'm addicted to Vol's Vision. Yeah, that's good tech, man. Not knocking that. I really like Asina's Gentle Touch here. They're really good. I've thought about using the Berserk tech, but I definitely don't want to use the helmet, because I kind of need the helmet for stats that I need to fix the rest of the build. But I could potentially use the Vitality Gem instead. And I usually do use the Calm Spirit Berserk gloves now, but in the case of a poison build, I mean, Asina's Gentle Touch is just so incredible. Alright, we'll just kind of end here. Last thing I do. Alright, let's get out of here and do another map. Leveling some gems in the background. Should do that if you can. It looks like enhanced gems are a pretty good bet currently. Ah, yeah, I think I almost hit 100 splinters on that map. I got around 95 splinters. Pretty good. Okay, so here's another map. This time I'm going to talk about Delirium. Now, I am probably most well known for Enraged Strongbox Crimson Temple farming with the Delirium Mirror. I really like that strategy. Delirium, I did discover that Delirium doesn't actually increase the amount of magic find that you get, at least from Strongbox Enraged monsters. Probably not from any other League mechanic. That is the sort of general consensus. But it most likely does dramatically increase the magic find from any Delirium monsters, as well as monsters that are native to the map. So monsters that spawned when the map opened, which is, to be fair, quite a few monsters. All right, that was another altar I wanted to hit, but it had minus defenses, percent defenses per frenzy charge, and that's just going to be a crushing to my defenses, so I'm not taking that altar. Now, Delirium, you can see how I'm clearing the map. I'm trying not to spawn the Beyond. This is what it looks like to try not to spawn the Beyond boss. I'm killing a whole bunch of monsters, and then I'm immediately you know, jetting out of there, and, well, the Beyond Boss spawned anyway. Maybe a little later than he would have otherwise, but, you know, the nice thing is that I'm able to kill him because the Soul Eater were running there. Oh, what do we have here? I think I'll take that one. Delirium in general is not too difficult. The monsters themselves, what is difficult is 80% Delirium. So take a whole bunch of extra damage. The monsters are way tankier. I mean, I can't remember the threshold. You can search up Delirium in the wiki, and you'll see it there. Quite a bit tankier though, yes. Oh, I almost didn't see this guy here. Got to get rid of him without dying. This is a little risky. I don't like taking on Kosis in the middle of a breach. Spawning. Now, I would normally start putting down dynamite, but I need to focus on making sure I don't die here more than anything. So, oh yeah, and actually clear the breach. Kind of important too. And put Defiance Banner back on. Good idea as well. I am actually reading these mods now. I'd read them sometimes depending on, you know, if I have a moment. Okay, increased chance to drop logbooks is obviously the play there. This is all pretty good. Pretty good, I gotta say. Just make sure I don't have chaos. Oh, I do have chaos damage. Immunity. Oops. Okay, okay. We can do this then and that. And now they're not immune. Good idea to check. I've gotten the habit of starting to check to make sure I didn't hit the chaos immunity one, because that sucks a little bit. So, Expedition. Not a big fan. It makes me lose my momentum if I concentrate on it any way, shape, or form. All of that rampage down the drain. I would have otherwise kept 1,000 stacks up. 1,000 rampage stacks equals 100% increased damage, 50% increased movement speed. I believe it's 60 or 75% increased rarity in the case of Bisco's Leash. Quite impactful. So it's wise to keep rampage up if possible. But you can't have everything the way you want it. Oh, here we go. This is what I'm looking for. Oh. Another breach. So I do think when I put a Headhunter on, it's going to probably 100% Deli will feel just as easy or easier than 80% does here. I could be wrong, but I mean, I have to assume it probably does. Breach, or rather, Delirium used to be harder than it is now. It used to be a staggering 96% reduced damage taken from monsters, or they used to take 96% reduced damage at 100% Deli. It's not that severe anymore. I think it's 84%. Reduced damage taken now, which means they basically take like 4 times the amount of damage they used to. Pretty big difference. Okay, I think I will go ahead and start looting, knowing I still have to do the boss and maybe a few other monsters hanging around. I do miss Deli mirror farming, but can't really do Delirium mirror on Cemetery. It's not, I mean, it would be fine because the breaches would pause the mirror anyway, but I mean, you'd certainly not get a high amount of Delirium. I guess you could do it, just on account of breaches, basically permanently freezing the mirror, as long as you're always doing a breach. When a breach is active, the mirror is frozen, and for a short period afterwards. It's not nearly as impactful as King Harbingers, but hey, I got King Harbingers on these maps too in some cases, so I guess that would be good. How can I upgrade your 3.20 strong box MF this patch? Well, I mean, doing the same thing and simply running ambush on the Keurig map device would be smart. Strongbox is actually even better than it was last league. Okay, just kind of get some free kills here. Even the other breach stones from like this Zestula, the other breach stones are 20 chaos apiece. It's pretty crazy. Really, like, nobody wants to be doing breach anymore. Everybody thinks it's trash. You see how many monsters there are. Getting a lot of value out of breach. Not just from Chayula, but from raw drops. Breach is pretty good with raw drops, actually, as a matter of fact. Okay, now I prefer to come in here with some Rampage or Soul Eater stacks, but okay, you can see I can still take out this boss pretty easy. He's one of the easiest bosses in the game if you just kind of move around the puddles in the ground. The Harbinger behind him is actually a lot harder, especially if I try to loot at the same time, which doesn't work out very well. Got a Conquer Influence map, and I did die, as a matter of fact. Yeah, that's a very common death right there. It just doesn't matter. Anytime you try to loot on top of a Harbinger, even a couple clicks, I mean, it's just... Harbingers never... never let me do what I want to do if I'm trying to do. At least I don't deal with King Harbingers in the middle of the... corridor and Crimson Temple and what have you. Alright, so I gotta do this here. There we go. Breach monsters also affected by increased item quantity? Yes, although I'm not sure if the splinter drops are. The sort of deterministic league-specific drops are not, I believe. Including, like, Skin of the Loyal, for example. Skin of the Loyal. Yeah, I have gotten one Skin of the Loyal, by the way. Or, no, two. Two Skins of the Loyal. Sold for quite a bit. I believe 5 Divines and 13 Divines, respectively. Picked a decent time to die there when I needed to go back to town to drop loot off anyway. Look how close I came to 16 rewards. That is sad. I might still get it, actually. I'm only a couple monsters away. This might do it right here. Either one. Oh no. Oh no. Alright, we're just going to end it there. Sometimes I scour the map, but I think I basically cleared everything in the map. That's unfortunate. I didn't quite hit 16 rewards, and that's kind of unusual. Why did I remove the amulet there? Because when I put having Invictus on, I cannot equip my gear. Because the strength requirement is too high. Because the amulet increases the requirements by 50%. Attribute requirements. Here we go. It's another map. We're going to talk more about Breach. I've already talked about Breach a little bit, but of course this is... I think this is the big elephant in the room. The strategy involving Breach. So I'll give you a little bit of backstory I think will be interesting. I created this build not with Breach in mind, but eventually I tested the, different mapping strategies with it, and I started off, I think, with Harbinger, Legion, and Breach, and I noticed that Breach was much more conducive to this build as far as the efficiency of it and its ability to farm safely and efficiently. Breach was amazing. Legion, not so much. Legion, the monsters kind of spread out. Asena's Gentle Touch wasn't working all that well with them. Oh, some dangerous mods. Good timing on this guy. He should be about dead. Okay, there we go. Essence, I mean, I don't really care about it. There. Anyway, more about Breach. So I discovered I really wanted to do Breach. I've always kind of been intrigued by the idea of farming Chayula breaches in the beginning. I've noticed in previous league that the Chayula Sextant is insanely expensive, like 2 or 3 divines on the first week of the league. Because, it dropped the blessings, it dropped the Skin of the Loyals, it dropped the Chosen card. These things were extremely valuable, and I do think, up until this league, Chayula Breach farming was incredibly lucrative for anyone who actually had a character that was capable of doing it really early in the league, and lo and behold, Tornado Shot with Poison was exactly that kind of character. Well, unfortunately, kind of a mixed bag here. They dramatically improved just the general feel for Breach. However, at the same time, they absolutely shattered the drop rates of some of the very specific rewards that Chayula drops. So in a way, Chayula Breach farming is much worse than it has been in League past. But, you know, like anything, Beyond Boss combined with 2 King Harbingers, not exactly where I want to be. But like anything, the market responds. And so the market responded to the whole Breach not being good thing. And what did that do? What it did is a lot of people pulled out of Breach farming. Chayula Sextant just crashed, or basically never even climbed. And anyone who wanted to farm Chayula Breaches could do so much more cheaply, and with a Breach Stone that instead of dropping all the way down to like 20 or 30 chaos, remains strong at around 70, 80, 90 chaos apiece. And with the changes to Breach, we actually get more Breach Stones per map because there's way more Splinters looted in general, especially from the clasped hands. Fewer from the bosses, but more from every other source, I'd say. Oh, we got a couple fracturing shards. Yeah, that's also a thing. We'll talk about Harbinger on the next map, I guess. Well, perhaps I should have devoted a map to Expedition. Didn't expect to see it here so much. I'm riding through. My rampage is going to fall off here. That's unfortunate. I don't know. Not paying too much attention to that. Again, Expedition's not exactly high on my list, but I'll go ahead and let it go. Alright, Beyond Boss, 2 King Harbingers there. This is kind of a dangerous breach spot because I don't have the momentum built yet, so I'm going to kind of avoid that Beyond Boss, but it is the Beyond Boss that's more or less unavoidable. But I'm fast, so I think I can outmaneuver him. It'll be okay. Okay, I think I'm ready for him. Delirium is beneficial in a way. It pauses the animation, makes him lock up and not do anything for like a solid 5 seconds straight. Works for me. While of course he is a much tankier though, so. Oh, we got a discus thrower here. A Legion Rare still alive. I'm not blocking Legion or Expedition. It costs too many points for the strategy I want to do. Normally I would block some of these other mechanics, so I'd rather see a Breach spawn more likely. It does appear that I've been rather unlucky with the Breach spawns. Again, there's a special Atlas passive right here. Even Invasion gives me a chance to spawn a whole bunch of extra breaches, and you know I have seen the 10 extra breach spawn before. That feels amazing when you're farming Chayula breaches. Also, I haven't seen a Chayula breachstone conversion yet from a boss, but I have killed a few bosses, so hopefully gonna see that after a while, maybe. Oh, what's this? Oh my goodness. Okay, I gotta play cleanup here. This is unacceptable. Too much stuff. Too much stuff floating around here while I try to loot. Probably the worst thing about this strategy is all the clicking. Especially if you use skittering Deli Orb. That is a lot of clicking. Oh! That's one advantage. I pulled out of singular focus and went ahead and let any map drop, specifically for the reason of the Cursed or Coward's Trial and then Future Cloisters. These maps are worth 50 chaos plus a piece. It's kind of crazy that they're still worth that much, so I guess everybody has gotten used to using singular focus. Nobody lets, you know, random unique maps drop anymore, so if that's the price of them and I can self-sustain maps without it, I'm going to go ahead and keep it off of there. Plus, you get extra Conquer influence maps and whatnot from the map boss. Whoa, dipped there a little bit. You got to see all that recovery in action there. Went all the way down to about, I think, 20% life, but it almost instantly was up to full again. Just an absolute monstrous truckload of recovery on this build. Pretty amazing. I basically just have to not get one shot. That's about it. In most cases, if it's just Chayula breach monsters, they're not that dangerous. In most cases. Could get some crazy rare, modded, rare spawn though. Could happen. Okay, this is nice. I was able to take in Soul Eater buffs and completely obliterate the map boss a little bit more like I should. Now, I really want to loot here, but again, this is dangerous. If I'm trying to level, then I refrain from looting at all, but you can see I'm not trying to level. I'm at level 99 and it's not going to go up anymore. Do not expect a level doing this strategy. Okay, that is all for that. Is increased damage with bow skills on Quiver important to have? Yeah, it's kind of important. It does impact the poison damage. It's a little surprising that it does, actually. I remember looking at it. 95% sure it does. Somebody can correct me if it doesn't. Man, I should just mirror you every league. I always enjoy your play styles here. I'm showing you guys something a little different today. Definitely. Wow, I almost got 17 rewards. So I definitely had at least 4. I think I have 4, maybe 5 breaches that map. I think it was just 4. But seeing that I almost hit 17 rewards, I most certainly had at least 4. Really looking forward to doing 100% Deli and getting 17 or 18 rewards. So when you move up even higher in the Deli count, it increases it even more. I'm curious to see what happens to Chayula Breach farming. It's my last comment on Breach, I guess. Curious to see what happens once the cat's out of the bag, if people ever actually catch wind of how lucrative Breach farming is. So, I mean, you see that I'm looting, you know, somewhat close to a full Breach stone every map. Again, the Sextant is 80 chaos. So you do the math. And, you know, I mean, I am running elevated +2 breaches as well, which is only 1.2 divines for 16 uses. And then the gilded breach Scarabs, very cheap. So you can kind of do some soft math right there and you realize that it's quite cheap. Alright, here we go. This is another map, and this time it's going to be Harbinger. Harbinger, there's no real special reason why I do Harbinger in this map. One reason why, it's just very convenient because I already want to take the inner wheel on the Atlas passive tree, which gives me increased quantity and rarity on the map. I gotta sacrifice 3 points into Harbinger just to get that. So it feels good to actually go ahead and do Harbinger, if I can. Harbinger is also rather quick, a fairly quick league mechanic to do. Certainly quicker than Abyss, quicker than Breach, quicker than, you know, it's not quicker than Strongbox, but, you know, Strongbox is about the only thing that's quicker than this. So it used to be really bad. You know, that one league, I think it was, what was it, Sentinel, or maybe it was Calandra, I can't remember the league, where they swapped the Exalt and Divines, and before they gave us Fracture Shards. Or I guess that was Calandra League, I think. Harbinger was pretty bad then, but with the advent of Fracture Shards, it became pretty good. Definitely see a lot of these high-value Fracture Shards. An entire Fracturing Orb goes for about 5, I think 5 Divines right now, and Fracture Shards aren't all that rare. I think I see on average maybe 1 shard every 4 maps or something, and you know, 1 shard is like 40 chaos or something. Or more than that, maybe, at this point. That's bound to go up, by the way. Fracturing shards are only going to go up as the league goes on, for the most part. I think they'll climb all the way up to almost 10 divines apiece there at the end. They're already starting off pretty high. Okay, odd, I'm seeing so many sixlings here. A lot of Harbingers here in the middle of the map. I also like Harbingers. They really help sustain Rampage. As you kind of cross-clear the map multiple times, the Harbingers are still up and they respawn a new set of monsters. You're trying to keep Rampage alive as I go along the map, especially a map like Cemetery. Same thing is said on Crimson Temple, the way I clear it. On there. And it's always nice, you know, your Rampage is about to fall off and then, oh, there's a Harbinger there with some enemies to help hold me over. Oh, darn. No. Breachstone again. So we've already farmed a few maps and we've had absolutely zero notable drops. Absolutely zero notable drops. So that'll be interesting if I go the entire set with no notable drops, no Divine Orb, no Skin of the Loyal, no Chosen card, no... I guess I did have a Fracture Shard. You know, you could argue that's a notable drop. But probably not. Did a really good job spawning the boss late on this map, the Beyond boss. The interesting thing I didn't mention about Breach is that even though we're not on Doomed and we're on Cemetery, it's a little bit closed up, a little bit more awkward. You notice this Breach here appears to have spawned in an absolutely awful position, but with the changes to Breach, the monsters seem to spawn. There seem to be a certain set of monsters. I've noticed that when a Breach spawns dead center of the map, if I really do a good job clearing all around it, monsters will cease to spawn, even though the Breach is expanding. Like right here, right here it seems like it stops spawning. And it seems like a lot of the monsters just get shoved in sideways whenever it kind of only spawns at a 180 angle. Like that. And certainly the clasped hands are much easier to get. And they play a much bigger role than they ever did before, as far as the currency gained from the strategy. Wow, that is really juicy. That is a very nice expedition positioning there. It's going to be hard. I hit like every remnant, but oh well. I got these Harbingers. So I'm supposed to talk about Harbinger here, and I guess I didn't spawn any kings, did I? Or maybe this is a king. I can't really tell because there's too much stuff in the way. Oh, it is a king Harbinger. There he is. I still haven't seen a mirror shard in ages, but definitely have a chance of dropping a mirror shard, although it's not that special this early in the league. I'd really rather just get a straight up fracture orb conversion. Or no, I guess a full mirror is worth more than a fracture orb. Still. Harbinger is in the boss room each time too. Actually, it helps killing the boss with the Soul Eater acquisition. If I pop Zerfie's heart in the boss room, I can manage, because there's going to be ads in here. Guarantees me not in this awkward situation where I gotta fight the boss with no Soul Eater buffs. Although again, doesn't really matter at this point. Okay, we're now looting. Trying to make these Harbingers not kill me while looting. Some Beyond monsters still here. Oh, almost missed Scarabs down south. Dunes Harby, Legion Harby, yeah. A Calandrous Touch, lucky guy. I've gotten one tier 0 unique. It was Beano's Kitchen Knife. It's the only tier 0 unique I've gotten so far. Not my best. I mentioned earlier, I've actually been pretty unlucky this league so far, really. I think... So, I mean, for example, I've opened almost 10,000 stacked decks. The best card I've gotten is Brother's Gift, ironically, from a stacked deck. That is categorically awful. RNG. And then, you know, just not seen really any tier 0 uniques yet, but I've killed over 1 million monsters, magic finding Certainly could have by then. I suppose I should check this to see what a 42 intelligence. Okay, I don't know. Maybe that's worth something. We'll check later. Roughly 80 unions per brother's gift or brother's stash. I think they have the same drop rate. I'll probably get like 30 or 40 unions in this set. Apothecary from a stacked deck. Yeah, I mean, I feel like I should have got... I could have very well gotten an Insane Cat or Fiend card on my 100 Exarch altar maps. A lot of people I know did in less than that, and not me. Not me. I really have had to grind the good old-fashioned way, suffered through overall pretty abysmal RNG. I did have that video on YouTube, featured the Viridian Jewels. Only unique Viridian Jewels carry me in RNG. That's it. It's actually, I think it's been two full days since I've seen a raw Divine Orb drop, which is just completely unheard of. I don't know what's going on. I haven't even seen a raw Divine in like, seriously, in like 15 hours of playing, I haven't seen a raw Divine playing like this. So you tell me what is going on, because I don't understand. I've seen Veiled Chaos Orbs, Exalted Orbs. The only thing I haven't seen is a Sacred Orb, I guess. Okay, almost done here. Oh, I still got that expedition to do, don't I? Almost forgot about that. Huh, I didn't know there was a King Harbinger up here. That's awkward. I forgot about him. Oh, he's almost dead. Oh, oh, oh. Wait, what? 5 linked white... What the heck? 6 white sockets, 5 linked? Okay. Okay. That's a weird one. Not gonna get counted in excellence properly, but, you know, we'll count it, I guess. Sure. That would have been amazing if that was 6 white sockets, 6 linked. Oh, wow, almost got caught right there. Oh, might have got caught here. Oh, my goodness. Okay, let's get some Soul Eater on. And my, how the tables have turned. Mostly. That guy's not gonna die. Wow. I think I'll let him escape. How much currency per hour is this strat? I usually check it's at least 10. Even on a bad day, it appears to be at least 10 divines an hour. It's very consistent currency. On account of skittering Deli Orbs and Chayula Splinters. I mean, I don't think I can earn any less than like 6 or 7. I think I earn a roughly 2 divines per map. So the real question is how long does it take to do the maps? Because that is the real bottleneck. This is absolutely not a get in and get out strategy. Okay, may die here. I'm going to try to take on 2 Deli bosses. I can't really see their telegraphs because too many Scarabs in the way. Oh, we got a small cluster jewel there. Nice. What is it? Not a good one. Oh well. Expedition again. Okay, so this map I'm supposed to talk about magic finding in general. I've already talked about magic finding broadly speaking before. I think it's I enjoy it. I know a lot of people don't really like it that much, but the more with every passing league, I get more in tuned with the idea of magic finding as a league starter. I think I'm at a point now where every league starter I do is likely going to feature some magic find. I don't really see it not, because it's so impactful in the beginning. Uniques are worth so much in the first week of the league, especially the first few days. And if you can somehow incorporate Magic Find into your league start build, I mean, it's just such a potent combination. And manage to, do some heavy-duty farms. Quite a difficult feat to pull, but that as a result of playing this game for many leagues straight now, I've begun to understand how to go about doing that, and even made a brand new build, a questionable build in doing so. Poison Tornado Shot already is pretty questionable, and then to incorporate Magic Finding onto it is, I don't know, I mean, to some people probably think it's laughable to do that. Granted, it's not like a full-blown all-in Magic Find build. It can't be, with no Headhunter, no Aurabot or whatever. But with three gear slots and 2 flasks dedicated to it, I think it qualifies pretty well. And knowing that Magic Find has a lot of diminished returns, both in quantity and rarity, it's important to keep that in mind when you're thinking about Magic Finding. It's probably wise to take a more balanced approach. And that's something I've always excelled at, I think, is taking a more balanced approach at Magic Finding. It is 6 portal gameplay. It's okay to die in a map while you're Magic Finding, understanding that your character is a little more rippy, but you don't want to be straight up bricking maps. You don't want to be wasting a whole lot of time with deaths. And this strategy, I think I've made a nice balance, by going for the strategy of rolling maps that are very easy while doing a Delirium threshold that's very difficult with map mechanics that are difficult, like King Harbingers and Breaches and Beyond, especially in Delirium bosses. 80% Delirium bosses, Kosis and everything. Oh, wow, this is actually really unfortunate that he spawned down here. So this is very unfortunate. I don't want to fight a Beyond boss down here. 26 Soul Eater stacks actually make quite a bit of difference there. Worked out. I deserve a Tainted Fusing for that, but I never did. Wow, we did all these maps and never got a Tainted Fusing. A little disappointed in that. I definitely find a few Tainted Fusings every now and then, really making it feel worth it. But the point of Beyond isn't just for the Tainted currency. It's obviously for the added uniques and Magic Finding on there. So we're Magic Finding 2 separate things here. Unique gear, essentially, and divination cards. Now, Crimson Temple or Defiled Cathedral have been the king of the jungle when it comes to divination card farming, but if you actually do the math and check the weightings, the Brother's Stash is something like 6 or 7 times more likely to drop than the Apothecary, and presumably the Brother's Gift has the identical drop rate as Brother's Stash. I've found, almost a dozen of each card now, so I can attest to the fact that that's probably likely the case. Again, about 80 Union cards per Brother's Stash or Gift. So understanding in 7 maps, I'm not likely to see one. I might see one, but not likely. Again, some really bad altars there. But let's see. I got a lot of uniques here. Finding all kinds of uniques that I sell for, 10 to 50 chaos. Occasionally finding really good uniques. I found a bunch of unique Viridian Jewels, which have paid off a lot. I found a Diala's Malefaction this league. And, many other things as well. No Covenant yet. A little surprised. I've not found a Covenant yet. Usually would have found that one by now. It's also fun. It's just fun to, play the jackpot way. One thing I really like about making a strategy, a Magic Find strategy, is I try to make strats for you guys that feature consistent currency earned while simultaneously offering a lot of jackpot potential. And this strategy is exactly along those lines. We have Chayula Breaches guaranteeing a bunch of Chayula Splinters. And again, if you're clearing these pretty efficiently, getting a lot of rewards out of them, you're going to make a lot of currency just from Chayula Breaches. At the current pricing point, anyway. And then we also have Delirium rewards. Deli adds a bunch of Magic Find to the map. And then it's just getting tons of skittering Scarabs. Basically cannot lose currency doing that. Make quite a bit of currency on these rewards. And between the Chayula Splinters and the Scarabs, I mean, I mean, we're about to see here, once we get out of this map and we go see how much currency I made, that there was basically no way I could have lost money doing this, even in the absolute worst case scenario. And ironically, we kind of hit worst case scenario on this. Basically, the only memorable drop I remember is 2 fracturing shards. That's the only thing I remember really dropping in this entire set. It is just 7 maps though, so I mean, can't really expect any magic to happen. I think this is the last breach. Well, I believe so.
That would only slow me down.
Alright, we gotta take an intermission here to drop the loot. How high do you get the Deli rewards? Well, I mean, I'm not doing all kinds of different mechanics. It's just Harbinger, Breach, and beyond. 16 or 17 rewards. 17 at the very high end. Although that should shift up at least 1 notch once I start doing 100% Deli. Okay, this is obviously once again phase 2 of the map. We gotta loot the whole map. One of the sacrifices I had to make was slightly slower out of combat movement speed than I wanted to put in this build. It's a little bit unfortunate to be doing a strategy where I gotta run around everywhere out of combat. Ooh. Could have been a Dialer's Malefaction there, but it's not, sadly. Oh, wow. Just got caught there. Again, one of the most precarious things to do on this build is to try and loot near an active Harbinger. So really, there's no faster way to get picked off than to try and loot a bunch of Scarabs in the middle of a Harbinger fight. My goodness. 16 Delirium rewards. Hit my quota. Why Cemetery? Because we have new divination card dropped here, Brother's Gift. So we've had a return to the former glory of Brother's Stash farming. 5 Exalts and now 5 Divines. And we get the best of both worlds now. Oh, well, level 4, Awakening Chain. Alright, nice. Okay, the run has now finished. Just a smidge over 1 hour farmed. Reset the dump tab. There it is. All the dump tabs in here. Now, I don't think this is going to get shown here. Let me just see what a 5-link Cherubim... So a 5-linked, not counting white sockets, a 5-link Cherubim Maleficent is about 30 chaos. This cluster jewel that I found earlier is also worth a few chaos. I think it's this one here. Yep, 30 or 40 chaos. That's not going to count it in excellence, just so you're aware, but I'm not going to deal with that right now. Here we go. So we take a snapshot, and hopefully this number is above 7 Divines. It better be. Okay, it is. Good. All right, 15.35 is the gross. So you can obviously see that even with a cost of over a Divine per map, I definitely did not lose currency. It was just a tad bit over 1 hour, and the Divines per hour appears to be around 7.4. And this truly is the floor. I haven't really seen any results worse than this with this farm. But again, I didn't get any sort of specialized Chayula drops. I got only 2 fractured shards. I didn't get any uniques to speak of. Didn't get any Brother's Gifts or any other divination cards. Didn't get a raw divine orb. There's all kinds of things I could have gotten that I didn't. And again, this is a very consistent farm. This is the results of just a consistent loot, mainly to speak of. Here, let me go through and see how much per map was farmed. 0.19, one more time. I should have put this number in here a second ago. And take that divided by 7. And you can see that I net profited, again, not gross, but net profited, I guess it would be 1.17 divines per map. Now, I've been testing this strategy out. In most cases, I'm actually earning around 2 divines per map. So that kind of gives you a sense of what it looks like when you don't have literally no luck at all in the farming session. Now, let's see what Chayula resulted in. So you can see there's 428... Here, the 2.4 divines in 7 maps of what I earned was just in Chayula Spinters. And remember, the Chayula Sextant cost roughly 90 chaos right now. So with 7 maps, that would be around plus, yeah, somewhere around there. And if we take that divided by 180, we'll see. Oops, hold on a second. Here. Roughly 160 chaos devoted to Chayula Sextants, just to get Chayula specifically on there. And if we take this minus 428, there we go, and then divide by 180, you can see in 7 maps I still earned over 1.5 divines in 7 maps just in Splinters. Again, that's not counting any of the uniques that dropped from Chayula monsters, not just Chayula specific unique skins with loyals, chosens, but also like just random uniques and random divination cards. I've definitely gotten a few brothers gifts off of breach monsters in particular. So just pure profit there that's guaranteed essentially, again, if you clear the breach like you should. And as far as skitterings, they're costing me about 25 chaos a piece per orb. And let's see, I ran 7 maps, put 4 orbs in each map, and I spent roughly 700 chaos just on skittering orbs for this test. You can swap the orbs over, which is why. Oh yeah, I would actually type Scarab here, wouldn't I? And I didn't get any crazy Scarab conversion. So you can see pretty obviously here that I earned quite a bit of profit just from the skittering Deli orbs. Take this number here and wow, I mean a full 6 divines or more came from just the Scarabs. And these will sell in bulk on TFT for at least around 90, 95, 100, 105% of value. I don't know, it fluctuates a little bit. The market's a little bit volatile on there. So definitely worth it for the skittering. Now, I sometimes use diviners, and I have a bunch of diviners in here. But what I typically do is I typically buy a whole bunch of these orbs at the cheapest orbs, and then I swap them. And I'm trying to hit skittering, but then I have a diviner, I save it, and then I'll run them later because diviners are really good, especially strong later in the league. Yeah. All right, so there you go. That's how it went. So you can see right there that I more than made my currency back. Actually, if you add the Chayula Splinters and the Scarabs together, it actually exceeds the total amount of investment. It covers the complete cost of the investment. Again, so long as you're completing the maps and getting at least 15 rewards, 15 or 16 rewards from each map, not failing the breaches. I didn't fail a single breach there, and I used to fail the breaches until I got good. I got good at farming. So that's all for this video. I don't really have any other final thoughts. The final thoughts I guess I'll reserve for just poison tornado shot farming. Still getting a few comments from people occasionally who are kind of memeing on the build. There's still a lot of people not aware how good this build was. If this wasn't a legit showcase of how strong this build is, then I don't know what is. Because I did not rely on the crutch of a Headhunter, did not rely on the crutch of an Aura Bot, or a Mage Blood, or a Mirror Tier Bow. Again, a budget of around 60 or 70 divines, which, yeah, that qualifies as no longer League Start. But as far as, a League Start build, transitioning into a more endgame build, beginner or early endgame build, this is what it looks like to take this build up into the 60 to 70 divine budget range. Being capable of doing 80% Deli and breezing through it with very little problems at all. I don't think most tornado shot builds can do that. or lightning arrows for that matter. At least not with breach farming with the level of efficiency that you just saw. So I thank you guys for watching this. I know a lot of you asked questions in Twitch. I'm sorry I couldn't get to all of them. I'm trying to keep this video nice and tight. It's a little over 1 hour as it is, but I'll talk to you guys a little bit after this video, don't worry. For the YouTube, we're going to say goodbye now, and I will be coming out with a full-blown 100 map strategy on something like this. But again, you can check the description for the atlas and the path of building and all that. I'll see you guys next time. Thank you for watching. Bye for now.